Coverage of Campaign 2018 is sponsored by George Sink Injury Lawyers.
Right now, we want to take you live to hear Stacey Abrams talking about the Georgia governor's race. She is in Atlanta at a rally.
She took just to stage. Let's listen in, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Love you too. When you chose me as your Democratic nominee, I made you a vow. In our Georgia, no one would be unseen, no one is unheard, and no one is uninspired. But we know a vow takes effort. It takes commitment to hold truth. Reaching out, reaching across is hard work. But as I told you then, hard work is in our bones. And we have proven this every single day, Georgia, with doors knocked, with calls made, with miles traveled, with prayers prayed to the highest heavens. And tonight we have closed the gap between yesterday and tomorrow. But we still have a few more miles to go. But let's hear me clearly, that too is an opportunity to show the world who we are. Because in Georgia, civil rights has always been an act of will and a battle for our souls. And because we have been fighting this fight since our beginnings, we have learned a fundamental truth. Democracy only works when we work for it, when we fight for it, when we demand it. And apparently today, when we stand in lines for hours to meet it at the ballot box, that's when democracy works. But I'm here tonight to tell you, votes remain to be counted. There are voices that were waiting to be heard. Across our state, folks are opening up the dreams of voters in absentee ballots, and we believe our chance for a stronger Georgia is just within reach. But we cannot seize it until all voices are heard. And I promise you tonight, we're going to make sure that every vote is counted. Every single vote. Every vote's getting counted. Because I'll tell you this, in a civilized nation, the machinery of democracy should work for everyone everywhere, not just in certain places and not just on a certain day. But what lies on the other side of our efforts? Our best lives are within reach. Fully funded public education in the state of Georgia. Medicaid expansion. And raising family incomes without raising taxes. Every Georgian that we have touched along the way understands the power of the vote. And I will tell you, this election has tested our faith. I'm not going to name names, but some have worked hard to take our voices away, to scare us away, to distract us. But our vision is clear and we see the finish line. You have inspired me every single day of this campaign. I know what you sacrificed to make your way to the polls, to volunteer after work or on lunch breaks. And I know that you've put your faith in me, and you'll do it again. Georgia, you put your faith in me, but I want you to know tonight, the feeling is mutual. And I want you to look around. Tonight should be all the proof you need that when we put our faith in the great people of the state, there is nothing we can't accomplish together. This fundamental truth is why we fight on, because Georgia still has a decision to make, a decision between division and trickery, or a leadership that defends your rights, your kids, your career, your community, and your right to vote in America. That's what's on the ballot. Now, to all of Georgia's voters, including the 1.2 million who haven't shown up before, welcome aboard. But I want to say this. If I wasn't your first choice, or if you made no choice at all, you're going to have a chance to do a do-over. And I need you to know that it is my mission to serve you, to serve Georgia, to make you proud. And for those who didn't pick me the first time, to change your mind about me and what we can accomplish together. You see, I learned a long time we don't need to agree on everything. But I will always respect you, and I will do everything I can to keep you safe and help you live your best lives. Because that's what leadership requires at this moment. And it is how we breathe life back into our republic when it seems to be shallow of breath. And to everyone who has already poured your precious time and energy and hard-earned dollars and your love into this campaign, I say thank you. And I urge you to stay with us. Because Georgia, friends, we are still on the verge of history, and the best is yet to come. Because this is not about me. It's about us. It's about our voices. Say our voices. It's about our votes. Say our votes. It's about our time. Say our time. Our voices. Our votes. Our time. Because we are Georgia. Say it with me. We are Georgia. We are Georgia. Say it with me. Say we are Georgia. We are Georgia. We are Georgia. So let's get it done. Thank you so much.
Well, there you heard it there. Stacey Abrams talking to her supporters tonight and really not giving up hope, even though she is trailing in this race. We know there are a lot of votes still out there. Maybe we can take a look at those numbers very quickly, at the latest numbers that we have from that race.
Yeah, she's down about 115,000 votes. Actually, the numbers have been updated a little bit, so the race has tightened a little bit more than what you're seeing on that list, but about 115,000 votes.
That's right, and we're going to continue to monitor that race. Of course, too close to call even right now, and we know that probably Mr. Kemp is going to come out very shortly too. We have our Danielle Lewan live there, but let's check in with our Wright Gazaway, who is in that hall with all those excited supporters who just heard from their candidate.
Dawn, after about 6 hours, they are finally starting to filter out here. They are re-energized. They are hoping to hit the campaign trail again for Stacey Abrams. You heard her say it, though. There is work left to be done. There are votes to be won and voices to be heard. She reiterated her campaign points tonight, talking about Medicaid expansion, raising the income level of families, and hoping that people who didn't vote will come out and vote in what she hopes is a runoff, and also telling people who didn't vote for her today that they have another chance to do so. You can see she is very, very energized. She is very confident there will be a runoff. Her campaign manager said there are about 50,000 either absentee or provisional ballots to be counted. There are also several votes still coming in what they call very heavily Democratic areas. So they are hopeful that all three of those phases will help them shorten that gap there with Brian Kemp right now. They are very close. Once again, they say they are hopeful for a runoff. They are confident in a runoff at least. So that looks to be it from here in Atlanta. They are packing up. A lot of the people have left the stage as well. So we will continue to have coverage tomorrow morning and also tomorrow on The News. They are expected to count those absentee and provisional ballots in the morning. So we should have a little bit more clear picture then.
All right, Stacey Abrams, as we said, kind of confident that they'd be going to a runoff still. not in that zone yet about a runoff.
That's right. We'll continue to monitor that for you very, very closely. And speaking of monitoring, our Danielle Lewan remains live at the watch party for Brian Kemp in downtown Athens. Danielle, have you heard anything from the candidate yet?
So we sure have not. We have not seen or heard from Secretary of State Brian Kemp just yet. We are told that we should be on standby several times as they feel like they're going to get that answer tonight. As we just heard from Wright in Atlanta, that might not be the case. But while I've been standing here, folks inside this room are now making their rounds to their fellow Republicans and deciding what's next. If they do not pull through tonight, they're deciding, or tomorrow, they're deciding what's next for this race, as they're still extremely confident that Brian Kemp will be the next governor of Georgia. They're talking next political moves, campaigning strategies, how they will come together as a red community and still keep the state a GOP party. I'll also be catching up with them as we head out of here later tonight or this morning, now that we're in these wee hours, and see what's next for this party and also next for Brian Kemp's campaign. We'll, of course, get all of those details and be sure to have those for you immediately online and also through our shows throughout the rest of today. So stay with WTOC for the 2018 governor's race. Reporting in Athens, Danielle Lewan, WTOC News.
Thank you, Danielle. And of course, we're going to stay with the election coverage and hopefully have Brian Kemp if he addresses that rally.
We'll be back continuing throughout the night with the very latest information on WTOC.com and our election center.
Well, good evening, everyone. We are continuing to follow the Georgia governor race. And still too close to call. Stacey Abrams just speaking moments ago saying she expects there to be a do-over, a runoff in Georgia, but that would account for one candidate getting less than 50% of the vote.
Well, let me give you the most recent numbers we have from the Secretary of State's office. We have Brian Kemp at 51.06% and Stacey Abrams at 47.99%, so very, very close. We're going to go live now to the Stacey Abrams camp where the watch party just wrapped up. Our Wright Gasaway is live in Atlanta.
Dawn, they're confident in that runoff because of three things. First, there are about 25,000 provisional ballots out there still to be counted. Second, there are about 25,000 more absentee ballots that still need to be counted. So you're talking about 50,000 votes. They also think that the precincts that haven't reported so far tonight are in Democratic strongholds. Because of that, because they think they'll pick up a lot of votes in those three areas, they are confident this race will be headed to a runoff. Stacey Abrams said it earlier. She is hoping that her supporters hit the campaign trail. She hopes they keep donating. You can see the lights are coming on here, so they are packing up. They are that confident in a runoff. So she was very energized, hoping that the crowd leaves here and encourages people to vote for her and vote if they didn't vote as well. She said there's a lot of work left to be done. She reiterated those campaign points here to the crowd. They do expect to make some sort of decision tomorrow morning. Those absentee ballots and the provisional ballots should be counted by the morning time. But once again, this is still not officially a runoff. That's just what her and her campaign are confident in. Her campaign manager came out earlier talking about that confidence of it heading to a runoff. In Athens, we still haven't heard anything. Danielle LeJuan is there, but that's the story here in Atlanta. Stacey Abrams is very confident this historic race for governor will be headed to a runoff.
All right, and most parties, they turn off the light. This one, they turn them on when the party's over, right? Well, Brian Kemp still hosting an election party in Athens in the downtown area. WTOC's Danielle LeJuan is there joining us now live. Danielle?
Yeah, Mike, we have been on standby for quite some time now. I'm seeing more folks file in from the hallways that have been waiting out in the lobby and mingling, so I'm expecting for Secretary of State Brian Kemp to also be taking the stage shortly, as we just heard from Democrat Stacey Abrams. We will be standing by for that. Again, those who were sitting on the floor have now stood up, and those folks who were outside now filing in, so we are not sure if an announcement has been made for folks to stand by for him to take the stage and give his final remarks tonight. As soon as we get word of that, music shutting off now. Stand by with me for just 1 second. Oh, it did just come back on again. We will be bringing his final remarks as well straight to you as soon as we get them, and we expect that to wrap up here shortly. So stay with us for that coverage. Reporting in Athens, Danielle LeJuan, WTOC News.
We'll have that coverage on air and online at WTOC.com as the results still continue to come in throughout the year.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.